F. Fred Milanowski, Milanowski.
Special Agent in Charge.
From the FBI, Christopher Combs, COMDS.
Who's he with?
FBI,
Special Agent in Charge.
Christopher Combs. And from the Texas Rangers, Corey Lane, Lani.
That's Corey spelled.
Say that again, Corey.
Corey Lane.
C-O-R-E-Y?
Correct, yes, sir.
L-A what?
L-A, L-A, L-A-I-N.
C-O-R-E-Y.
And from the District Attorney's Office, Audrey Lewis, L-O-U-I-S.
And did you give Corey's title?
Corey Lane from the Texas Rangers, Major for the Texas Rangers.
Is it C-O-R-Y?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
What's the first name of Lloyd?
Audrey Lewis. Lewis is the last name, L-O-U-I-S.
Spell Audrey.
Audrey.
Last name one more time.
Audrey Lewis, L-O-U-I-S. District Attorney.
District Attorney. This will be your 2-minute warning. We'll be with you shortly, okay?
Could you give us the ATF?
Fred Milanowski, Milanowski. Fred, F-R-E-D, Special Agent in Charge, ATF. Just as a reminder, the leadership for DPS will speak and address everybody. Please allow everyone to get their statements out. After that, if they entertain questions, raise your hand. They'll call on you and they'll answer questions, okay? Get a little more orderly so you guys can get everything you need. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for being here today. We're going to have several speakers today, and we ask that you hold your questions until the very end, please. First, there's 3 things that we're not going to discuss today. And number 1, we're not going to discuss the motive. We have released that the shooter was at odds with his in-laws. We have released that the mother-in-law went to church here. And we have released that there was a conflict between those 2 families. We're only 48 hours into this investigation. Interviews are ongoing, and things that we release in these press conferences could affect future interviews. In addition to that, we have the suspect's cell phone. We have executed a search warrant on that cell phone, and that cell phone has been turned over to the FBI for analysis. FBI Special Agent in Charge Chris Combs is here, and here shortly he's going to discuss that. Another thing we're not going to discuss today is the names of the victims inside the church. We believe we have everyone properly identified, and we have notified all the next of kin. However, the medical examiner's office is confirming our findings, and they will give us permission to release those names, and we hope to have that later today or tomorrow at the latest. And the last thing that we're not prepared to discuss is the suspect and his release from the Air Force. We would refer all those questions back to the Air Force. With that, first up is going to be Special Agent in Charge of ATF, Fred Milanowski, and he has an update on the firearms.
Thanks, sir. Good morning, everyone. 2 updates from ATF. One is, as far as the rifle goes, the Ruger 5.56. ATF firearms expert examined that rifle yesterday. All indications are that that is not a fully automatic weapon. That is a semi-automatic weapon. We will not know 100% sure until we actually test fire it, but all indications now are it's a semi-automatic weapon. I want to clear that up because that's been reported a couple different ways in the media. The second thing is ATF agents have acquired shell casings from the scene. Those shell casings will be entered into ATF's National Integrated Ballistic Identification Network, and that will help us determine if that rifle was used in any other shootings. Thank you very much. I'll answer any questions at the end. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Christopher Combs, the FBI SAC here in San Antonio. As the commander stated, the phone of the subject was turned over to us. We flew that on a DPS plane last night to Quantico. They're in the process of looking at the phone. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we are unable to get into that phone. So it actually highlights an issue that you've all heard about before With the advance of the technology and the phones and the encryptions, law enforcement, whether it's at the state, local, or the federal level, is increasingly not able to get into these phones. So I'm not going to describe what phone it is, because I don't want to tell every bad guy out there what phone to buy to harass our efforts on trying to find justice here. I can assure you that we're working very hard to get into the phone, and that will continue until we find an answer. I don't know how long that's going to be quite honest with you. It could be tomorrow, it could be a week, could be a month. We just don't know yet. But we're going to keep working on that phone and the other digital media that we have, and we can turn that over to the Rangers. Thank you.
Obviously, this is a massive crime scene, and we have the best of the best processing this crime scene. It's a long process, and like I said, we're only 48 hours into this. The Texas Rangers and the FBI evidence recovery team have worked day and night, and today the incident commander for the Texas Rangers, Corey Lane, is here to speak.
Good morning. Again, my name is Corey Lane. I'm Company F Commander in charge of this crime scene processing. Just want to go over a few things of resources that we have dedicated right now, mainly the workforce personnel that's processing this crime scene. We have 136 commissioned officers dedicated to the crime scene processing or support of that mission. 49 of those 136 are the best of the best Rangers that we have. They're part of our major crime scene investigative team. They don't get on that team by accident. They have to show two things, which is talent and drive to be a part of a crime scene and interest in crime scene investigation. The team leads of that investigative team have all graduated the National Forensic Academy in Tennessee, and that's on top of their 3-week basic crime scene investigation training that they receive, that every Ranger receives from the Department of Public Safety. These Rangers also continually attend advanced crime scene investigation courses to stay ahead of the curve on any updates or advances in crime scene investigation. Like the director said, we're 48 hours into this, and these men and women who are dedicated to processing such a complex and massive scene have worked tirelessly, and it's nothing short of inspiring. So that's all I've got.
Aubrey Lewis is the district attorney for the 81st Judicial District. Even though the suspect is deceased in this case, she has been out here every day working with the community and working with our victim services from all agencies, including the Department of Public Safety, and she's here to give a brief.
Good morning. We've had an outpouring from around the world of people concerned with the burdens that these families have with funeral expenses. And I want to give you a little bit of peace of mind to understand that the Attorney General's office has victim specialists along with FBI Victim Services, DPS, and our office that are working with these families one-on-one. And we have the Attorney General's office here because they have Crime Victims Compensation Fund that they are in charge of. That fund releases money for the victims' families, including funeral expenses. Those funeral expenses, the amount of funding for each victim is $6,500. We believe that that's going to be sufficient funeral costs for the victims' families, so they will not be burdened with that financial portion of their loss, and they can concentrate on trying to grieve and process what else is going on in their world at this time. In addition to that, there has been a company that has come forward and agreed to donate the caskets to all of the victims. And we are grateful for that person and their service to our community and their heart and being willing to donate that. So those people who are concerned with that initial burden that these families have, as we all are, we have a Crime Victims Compensation Fund that is in place for that purpose and is being utilized and streamlined to ensure that the victims are not burdened with that initial funeral expense. So thank you very much.
With that, I have a few questions that were submitted by the media that we will answer, and then we'll open it up to question and answers. The first one was, why was the concealed handgun license denied for the suspect? That's protected information. All I can tell you is that he did not have a concealed handgun license. When will the investigation conclude, and when will the church reopen? As far as the church reopening, that's a question for somebody else. We hope to finish up the crime scene investigation and all the forensic analysis by tomorrow night, and then that will be turned back over to the local officials. Were any other persons involved? We have no reason to believe or no information that anybody else was involved in this crime. There's some question about the pregnant female inside the church. Again, she's one of the victims inside the church, and we're not prepared to release any information regarding the victims inside the church until we get confirmation from the medical examiner's office. There was a question regarding domestic terrorism. By definition, we have no reason to believe that this crime was politically motivated or based on religious beliefs. We have no reason to believe that. There was questions regarding the suspect's mother-in-law. She was not in the church. She does attend this church, but we know on Sunday when this crime occurred, she was not in church. Beyond that, there were some questions regarding the weapons purchase. I believe those were answered. Some questions regarding search warrants. We are executing search warrants, such as the evidentiary search warrant on the cell phone. But with that, that's all I have, and I'll open it up to y'all for questions.
I know you have to be very careful, and you did tell us you did not answer certain questions. I'd like to ask you a general question that perhaps with the issue of the motive. I'm not asking you any specifics. Do investigators, however, believe they have a handle? Do they believe they know what the motive is without telling us what it is?
There's still a lot of interviews to be done. We have some indication on what the conflict was between the family, you know, what the timing and stuff like that. Still a lot of work to be done. As I said, it's only 48 hours into this.
How can someone be denied the right to conceal carry a weapon but still be able to purchase weapons in the state of Texas?
That's we have databases that we check, TCIC, NCIC.
I understand that it's law, but can you explain to me the rationale between being able to?
I can't. I can tell you. I can tell you what is required, and there was nothing in our databases that precluded him from purchasing a firearm.
So if you're denied a concealed carry license, you can still purchase a gun in the state of Texas?
If you reconstruct it, what time did the first shot happen? How long did the incident last? How many shots were fired?
I don't have that at this time. I can tell you when the first call came in, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office arrived within 4 minutes. I can tell you 4 minutes is a long time during an active shooter situation.
Director, what is the status of 911
that'll be up to the Sheriff's Office and their 911 system.
Director, what is the status of the ex-wife and child?
I'm sorry?
What is the status of his ex-wife, Kelly's ex-wife, and his stepchild?
I don't have that information.
Are they okay?
Yes.
Sir, the president has said that hundreds of more people would have been at risk had the citizen shooter not been there. First of all, is that your assessment that there would have been hundreds more that could have been killed? And secondly, that more extreme vetting would have prevented the shooter from getting a weapon?
I don't know about the vetting, but we can only speculate. We don't know what he was thinking, what was in his mind, and what his future plans were. But, you know, this is a situation where I wouldn't be willing to take that risk. And, you know, in my opinion, I said the other day that Mr. Williford, I believe he's a hero. I've seen no media since this started, but somebody sent me a clip of an interview that he did with the media, and how can you not love that guy? You know, that guy did what he knew needed to be done. And but as far as his future plans and what he had planned for the rest of the day, and if there would have been more deaths, you know, it's all speculation.
Would better vetting not have prevented the gunman from getting his weapons?
I don't know.
We heard the shooter was here last Tuesday for the fall festival here. Did he have any confrontations with any of the people here?
I don't have that information. So.
Was there a
Is
gun
that right?
how many people were in the
weapon?
church
At the time, that everyone was injured or killed?
I'm sorry?
Was the entire congregation either injured or killed during the shooting?
You know, we believe the congregation at this church is roughly just over 50. You know, we know how many were deceased and how many were shot. There were very few that were here that were uninjured.
Did the shooter use a bump start?
I don't have that information.
Is it possible he used it?
I would refer that to ATF.
Did the gunman, sir?
A couple things. Did he use a bump start? 2 things. 15 clips, 30 rounds in a clip. It's possible that he shot 450 rounds, number one. So, he used a bump.
First part of that is the number around this part of the investigation. We will not release that. There's no evidence of a bump stock being used.
So is it possible he fired 450 rounds?
Again, it's part of the investigation that is not going to get released publicly.
Last night, someone said all the magazines were empty by the end of it.
It's 15 times 30. It's 450 shots. So were they all empty? I'm assuming that they were all full.
What was talked about yesterday is that the magazines at the scene were empty. So I don't believe there was a number put out.
That doesn't imply that all 450 rounds were fired.
We're just not going to put that information out as part of the investigation.
We received reports that he was shooting from a rooftop position initially. Can somebody comment on that?
When did he plan this? Do you have anything specific to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, about premeditation. Do you have any specifics, or do you have any evidence when you began to plan this
attack? We do not at this time. And to answer your question, we have no information that he was shooting from a rooftop. We don't have any facts to support that. We're the fact finders, and we're collecting the facts as we find them.
Can you speak a little bit about what the shooting position he had was?
He changed his position. He walked, he moved. And as far as the magazines, you know, they're 30-round capacity magazines. How many rounds he actually had in those magazines, a lot of that trajectory work is being done this morning, so we can't answer that.
Sheriff, how are writing text messages with the mother-in-law? Do we know when those were sent? Was it this weekend? Was it a week ago? What is that timeline?
Again, we will know more when we're able to exploit his phone.
Was he threatening anybody else in this community? Are you executing a search warrant on his phone, his vehicle, and what else? Where the search?
I can't. A lot of the vehicle's already been processed and secured. As far as his home, I believe those have already been conducted. Whether they were consensual searches or search warrants, I can't answer to that.
When it
Did
comes
the
to the
vehicle belong
phone,
to him, or did he
Based on
steal
the
the vehicle?
interview you've done, has there been any indication that the shooter made a targeted threat towards this church or gun violence threats towards the mother-in-law?
Again, that gets into the investigation, and we know that there was conflict. He was upset with the mother-in-law, but beyond that, I can't comment.
When it comes to the phone, are you asking for tech companies to help you open it?
I know that you investigate and people give tips or anything like that. Was he ever at any time on the radar for the FBI?
So I can tell you that he is not in any FBI database. We have not had any investigations on him previous to this event.
As far as the telephone, I know in San Bernardino you ended up having a super sleuth aid you in unlocking that phone. Are you soliciting other super sleuths that might want to help the FBI unlock this phone?
So I can tell you at this time we're still working on it. We have partners that we work with on these things. I think it goes to complexity and how hard the problem is and how long it's going to take. But we will get into that phone.
Sir, everyone knows that an iPhone is one of the phones that is talked about in this regard. Is it an iPhone?
I will not describe the type of phone because, again, I don't want to encourage bad people to buy it. I'm not going to talk about what kind of phone it is.
You and I talked about soft targets and your concern about soft targets. The sheriff in Williamson County is making a seminar available for churches to talk about security. Are we at that point?
So I've done a lot on active shooters through the years. You know, you look at the numbers are on the rise. I think everybody, no matter where you are, needs to think about this. If you're in a school, if you're in a college, if you go to the movies, we should all be thinking about what are we going to do if a crisis breaks out right here. There are a lot of programs out there. The FBI supports programs. We teach law enforcement. There's private community programs out there. But I think we all have to think very hard about this and make sure that we're prepared. Just like schools do fire drills, because we used to kill a lot of children in fires back in the early 1900s. I think we all have to take active shooters very seriously and do everything we can to prepare and prevent for that.
This is a local question for the DA. How he was denied a license to carry and still able to purchase a gun in the state of Texas?
That's not my discipline, I'm
This is
sorry.
a local question for the DA.
Yes.
Hey, we have a San Antonio funeral home that is offered to assist with the funeral services. Does that mean, if it means that they'll cover the cost, what does that mean for the $6,500 per victim promised by the Crime Victims Compensation Fund? Would that be added on to something like that?
We're working in partnership with all of the local funeral homes to ensure that our victims are not out of pocket and are not burdened by the cost of the funerals.
So if it goes above
so that is our hope, is that the funeral homes will work with the victims to make sure that it does not go above that cost. I can't promise that to them at this point, but we are working in partnership with the funeral homes. They're aware of the situation, and they don't want to re-victimize our victims as well. So,
is there any funding available for the victims, for the ones that survived but got shot in the process? Any funding available?
That same crime victims compensation is also available for the victims who are suffering injuries that have medical expenses and things like that. And so they will work with the Attorney General's office, our office, FBI, DPR. Go through the process to have that compensated as well.
Any idea when the funeral will begin?
Unborn child.
I'm sorry?
Does the deceased count include the unborn child, or is it?
It does.
Any idea when the funerals will begin?
Include any unborn children? Close to the mic.
Any idea?
Yes.
Any idea when the funerals will begin?
When the funerals will begin, that I do not know.
Director, are you able to answer that question? How many unborn children? Yes.
Just one.
And the 26?
Yes.
So of the 26, one is an unborn child? Yes.
Agent Combs, the Air Force has said it didn't forward the information from the shooter. Has this happened before? Is this a problem from the military, Air Force, or have you had this issue come up from other agencies not providing the critical information you guys need in minutes?
Unfortunately, this has happened in the past from a number of agencies. Nothing is perfect. I would refer you to a press release that our headquarters put out from our CGIS division that handles the NICS checks, and it gives you some particular percentages and how the problem is being addressed.
It was said last night that this was bigger than the domestic dispute, that if you had an issue with his mother-in-law, that he wouldn't have come here and killed so many people. Is there any indication that it's tied to his beliefs in atheism, his anti-God rants that were posted online?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do we have a timeline as far as when did you start shooting? I mean, did you start shooting from the outside of the chapel, or did you start when he walked into the chapel? Did you guys have established that yet?
Don't have an exact time. He arrived. He was seen at the Valero. We know he went to the church. He exited. He fired into the front of the church. He moved to the side of the church, continued to fire. Then he entered the church and continued to fire. But as far as the exact time, I think, you know, with the 911 calls, we can tell you the first call that came in, and with our Good Samaritan, of course, you know, he was there. We know when the call came in, within 4 minutes, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene. But as far as the exact time of the first shot, I can't answer.
When was the call?
Firing into the church from outside, correct?
Was that the one he used to call his father?
I believe so, yes.
One last question. How many victims still in critical condition?
We have 10 that remain in critical condition.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out this afternoon. We will keep you updated through the DPS Twitter as well as through our email, please.
Thank you.
Continue to follow us on Twitter, please, sir.